So in case someone out there has seen my earlier videos, not too many have, so not too much to worry about, but I had been recording some songs that were inspired by people at the end of 2020, and then stopped, and in the meantime got played Santa Claus in a Christmas Zoom play, so decided to leave it for a while. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I stopped recording because a new friend of mine, Dave, just got myself involved in a 12-step program recently, and I'll make videos about that. I have 4 songs that were inspired by that time of struggle in my entire life with this issue. So yeah, spend more time with that later. But Dave, my new really good friend from this 12-step program, I had been talking to him about these experiences of writing these songs, and how one thing led to another, but I discovered that the being that was giving me songs, that I knew I was being given songs like immediately, and some years later had gotten into A Course in Miracles, and I was playing one of these songs that had been written earlier, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the Course. And Jesus is supposedly have channeled into the earth A Course in Miracles, and I believe that as much as I can figure it out. But I said, wait a minute, to my songwriter that had been giving me these songs, I'm like, is that you, Jesus? Is that you? Another one up there, or another one over there. It's my Jesus corner. Is that you? And he's like, yeah, he said, I knew you had a problem with Christianity, and didn't know how you would feel about dealing with me, but yes. And so now this guy is not only one of my greatest teachers, but he's also my friend and my songwriter, and it's been a trip. And so, and I was telling Dave that, I could at times request a song. In fact, the one for Ken, Wounded Sacred, I was able to say to Ken, I want to write a song for you. And then Jesus and I started collaborating on Wounded Sacred, and he started giving me these things. And at one point during the creation of these, it was mostly between 2000 and 2006, a few came after my injury, but during this time I said to the songwriter, it's like, why are you giving these to me? I'm not that good, and I can't get in front of people, and he said, because you need them. And they were the thing that got me to start joining choirs, work on the stage right, and they became my healing during the other time I had been sharing with Dave about was 2006, being assaulted by 4 young men on the street, and the short story is I woke up in forgiveness. I woke up in forgiveness. When I woke up, I was in a coma for 3 days. The doctor said he might not come back. After 3 days, I was moving into this house, and one of my housemates that I had just met, I hadn't even moved in yet, James, was sitting, tells me later, he said, I was sitting by your bed just hoping you'd wake up. And he said, you sat up and said, James, I've got to forgive these guys. How do I do that? And fell back asleep. And when I woke up, it was just done. It's never been an issue. I hold nothing against no one. I just woke up in forgiveness. It's like I hadn't even used that word. It was just this place of there's nothing I hold against anyone, particularly Ray, the young man mostly responsible for my injuries, who, oh, wow, that's a lot of story there, so we'll just save that for another time, because I'd like to share this song that was inspired by Dave. He said, I'd like a song, since you can make a request, I'd like a song called I Woke Up in Forgiveness. And my first thought, it was kind of a combination of, I've always wanted to have a song about forgiveness, and the simultaneous thought was, but it ain't gonna be called that. I was like, no way. I woke up in forgiveness. Like, look at me. I woke, and I'm like, no, it just happened to me. So I don't think I could write a song that would be called that. But I was interested in the idea of, I had been. I'm like, I wonder if I'm ever gonna get a song about forgiveness. And I had a whole bunch of notes in my Course in Miracles and some references to the Course about forgiveness, and some stuff that I had written and some stuff other people had written, and all about forgiveness. And I'm like, let's like start looking through this stuff. And nothing. There was some stuff, but it just felt like really heavy, really just very philosophically heavy about forgiveness. And it's just like, it's not much of a song, dude. The song is like la-di-da, let's feel good here. You can be reading this treatise about forgiveness. And then boom, all of a sudden the Jesus thing started kicking in. I started getting the first verse, which was about my experience with Ray and waking up in forgiveness. And then I'm like, well, that's interesting. That might be the beginning of this. And I was going to do something else. And I'm like, all of a sudden it was like, no, get your pen, get your guitar. And the second verse came out. And the second verse was about a dream that I had where I was in a battle. I was marching on my way to battle the enemy. And in the dream, I was the third person in line, marching along with our baseball bat swords, on our way to battle the foe. And we got up to the enemy, and the first guy steps up, and he's battling the enemy, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's good. He can't get through. This guy's meeting every stroke, and he's gonna die soon. He's done. And all of a sudden, this guy stops battling, glows bright, lowers his arm, and disappears. Then the next guy is up. The guy in front of me is now battling the enemy, and he's like, oh no, I'm gonna be up really soon because this guy is toast. And all of a sudden, same thing, the guy lowers his arm, he glows bright, he disappears. I don't have time to think. I'm battling the enemy, boom, boom, and nothing's getting through, and I'm getting tired, and I'm like, it's the guy behind me's thinking, oh my God, this guy's dead. And all of a sudden, I hear, and I'm thinking, how did those other guys do that? How did they just glow bright and disappear? And all of a sudden I hear this voice, and the voice says, "Do what my son would do." And then I woke up, and I had been in a dream class, so I was into investigating dreams, so I went back into the dream, and I found the enemy, and he looked kind of weird, and I went up, and I was investigating the enemy, and I'm like, what the, wait, there's edges and molding? It's a mirror. And so that became the second verse. Yeah, what else is there to say? There's something else about that, but heck, I'm talking too much. And then the third verse sort of did the philosophical thing, and then the final, after the instrumental, the last piece is kind of me saying, this is not about me. This is like, I feel, I feel funny sharing this, like I woke up in forgiveness, but as the last verse shares, it's as the bus goes by for effect. Yeah, I don't feel worthy to say that and to insinuate that is what anyone should do, is to just forgive. And the line in there, I know how difficult it is. I had a miracle. I woke up in forgiveness. So to Dave, my man Dave. And well, yeah, the reason it's taken so long to, I wrote this in December, and it's been difficult. I've gotten, this is the 10th song since I was injured in 2006, and I'm just so thrilled that they haven't stopped, and I'm looking forward to number 100. I think it might have something to do with the piece in the chorus called "The Song of Prayer." Very, very beautiful piece. Oh, and I am so dry. I've been yakking. Oh yeah, so memory. I was. It's like when the songs were coming before, they were like one every few weeks, and I would have time to organize them and memorize them, and I'm a simple guitar player, just remember a few chords and remember it, a few weeks, and then another one come out a few weeks later, and it's a slower process with a brain injury, I find, and it's weird. This came out just swiftly. It's a lyrically, bizarrely complex song, and it came out in just a matter of hours. It was freaky, and then the chorus didn't come out, and a couple of days later, there's this section in the Course in Miracles that Jesus directed me to go to, and it's called "On Forgiveness," and Jesus says, "Forgiveness sees not what your brother did to you, has not occurred. It doesn't pardon sin and make it real. It sees there was no sin at all." So that's just a deep, deep line from Jesus, from a song of prayer. From On Forgiveness in the chorus. So yeah, I guess I should play. I don't know if I'm able to be able to record this much. He showed us how to forgive, in love and oneness to live. Out from the dark you stepped into my life, not knowing just how you would change it. Then Jesus stepped in when I asked how to forgive, and I thought he just rearranged it. I woke up in forgiveness. In the chorus he said to just ask him to see this bad situation different. When I woke up, thank God I was free. In the midst of a fight, sound asleep late one night, I'm attacked by someone who would harm me. As I gather my might, suddenly there's a light. Now awake, I'm aware that there's just me. I woke up in forgiveness, do what my son would do. When I believe that you've heard me, I see me when I think I see you. Forgiveness is what your brother did to you has not occurred. It doesn't pardon sin and make it real. It seems there was no sin at all. Forgiveness is not forgive and forget. It's forgive and choose not to remember. It's actually not even forgive at all. True forgiveness holds not against another. If we think there is someone to blame, it's our chance to look within and see really what we're dealing with. What's in me is likewise in him. What another has done, that reminds us of what's inside ourselves, and forgiving this, awaken from the dream of separation into the state of oneness with God. Know the unity that connects us with all. Forgive and begin to awaken to God. Jesus said, forgiveness is what your brother did to you has not occurred. It doesn't pardon sin and make it real. It sees there was no sin at all. How to forgive when I want you to feel the pain I'd have to live with the rest of my days. It's hard to pull a boulder, it's hard to push a boulder up a slope steep when the rock is our harm at top. Start to release. I woke up in forgiveness. I don't need to tell you what to do. I Peace.